Welcome back, everybody, to the Creative Moment Season 9, Episode 8. Winding down on our 9th season here with our guest in the background, even though if you could see her, it's probably a good thing. Dante Bullhauer, Jamie Bullhauer, as always, your hosts. And, let's get into it. The other tenant that lives here loves blood orange, so we'll never be short on blood orange bubbler. Okay. Anyway, today we are talking kind of revisiting a subject about procrastination and kind of how that can just kind of translate into either helping you be more creative or stunting your creativity based on, if you're not doing anything, you're not doing anything. Yeah. So this is mainly based on a quote or just kind of a phrase that I saw that said, the reason behind why some successful people can procrastinate or that they are huge procrastinators but still successful is that people will only do their job, or these people will only do their job in the time allotted. So if you give someone a week to do something, it'll take them a week to do it. If you give them a day to do it, it'll take them a day to do it. And so until you feel that kind of internal pressure of, oh shoot, I don't know if I'm going to have enough time now, that's when those people, which obviously if they're successful, they're probably motivated, whatever, just have, a vice of procrastination. And so that's when they'll start really working, and then they'll have a week to do a project and only do it in a day, because the day is when they start to feel that pressure of, I need to get this done now, my time is running a little short. And I thought that was just kind of interesting to look at, because there are times when I am a big procrastinator, and there's times like right now I can't afford to procrastinate. And that just kind of was an interesting topic that I thought would be fun to discuss.
Well, and my first instinct, my teacher side says that that's BS. That it is actually a habit you create, that you just have always like, well, I got it done last time under time crunch. And part of that stems from the writing class, from that idea, because I always give you like 2 weeks to write that essay and to work on it. And so it, but students have that same, I write my best essay right before it. It's like, no, that's a habit. That's a habit. And you've been okay. Now, there's some underlining aspects that if they're successful or professional, like their skill set is probably pretty strong. Where my students, like the skill set of producing college level essays and stuff in just a day, no. But it's an interesting, because it's what would be interesting with that quote is if they had a specific person, so we kind of knew what they did,
like if it's Bill Gates or something,
or what they did the other stuff. I don't know, that it's a little bit catch-22, because I can kind of see that if you've got a strong skill set already, and you're just used to that kind of habit and that work, but I still think it's a habit.
Yeah, so I'll try and weave myself into it. So I have probably over 50 jobs currently open, like projects open right now that I am just working on. I'm not procrastinating on working, but there are certain jobs that maybe I'm not as excited about, but that also maybe need to be done sooner than other projects I'm doing. Maybe I'll edit this video instead of editing the senior that I said would be delivered tomorrow, something like that. And so seniors, for example, I've done so many of them that they're pretty easy for me to edit. I know what the workflow is going to look like. I know most of the time allotted for whatever.
And I think you take good pictures at the beginning too.
Yeah.
Like that's where I'm like, I could see where your skill set, it's not like you took a bad and you're
and
my gosh, I got to rescue this.
Yeah.
So that I could see.
Yeah. And so if I know like, okay, I'm really excited to edit this video, I'm just going to put the senior photo on the back burner for a little bit. That's kind of, it's not necessarily procrastinating, but kind of, I'm procrastinating that project. And so then it'll be, the end of the day and I'll be really tired and I'll be like, I should have just done this senior earlier. Like this is due tomorrow. The video is due next week. And then I'll have to wake up the next morning early to get it done before like 9 a.m. or whatever, just so I keep it on time. But because I've done so many seniors that I know what it's going to look like, I tend to kind of just, not that I procrastinate your senior photo deliveries, I don't. But I tend to just kind of only get like, I'm like, oh, I have 3 hours to deliver before I said it was going to be delivered. I won't do it until that 3 hours hits, basically, kind of thing. And that's kind of where I can still do everything on time, but also start feeling the pressure. Oh shoot, I spent all day working on this, and I was supposed to be doing this, and now I gotta crank it out real quick. And that's kind of a small example of how I can procrastinate.
And see, and to a degree, that I think that a little bit reinforces the idea. It does become a little bit of a habit. And part of it is trusting your skill set, knowing what you're doing. And I'm not, everybody procrastinates. And our episode from last week about jealousy, that jealousy was one of the, she was talking about why we procrastinate. And she was trying to, in that section, talk about figuring out why are you procrastinating? And sometimes, for your creative stuff, your livelihood is on the line, though. Like,
paycheck.
So it's like that. But for my seniors and talking to them a little bit in that regard, and a little bit for me, it's sometimes we procrastinate because of that same pressure, though. Because we give ourselves so much responsibility, and the more that time is eliminated and we've not reduce the responsibility, the stress of it gets so bad, and then you just I just don't do anything.
And that's one of the other things that I really struggle with, especially during this time of year, is I wake up in the morning and I look at my open project page and I'm like, this, I just don't want to do it. I don't want to look at it. I just want to close the book and just let's turn on the TV for and I'm like, oh, just 10 minutes. And then it's turns into, it's 11 a.m. and I haven't opened my computer. And that's a very real thing. For high school students, I think it's, a little hyperbolic when they say they're overwhelmed with one writing page in a Spanish worksheet. But I get it. But no, that is a very real scenario where I procrastinate a lot. Is just, I have 10 seniors to deliver. I can't get it all done in one day, so I'm just not going to do it today. Something like that. I'm just going to go do this. I'm going to go golf. But that's a very real thing.
It is. It just makes you... It's the other saying, how do you consume an elephant? One bite at a time, to try to do that. But that procrastination for creatives, and especially at the beginning when they're saying yes to a lot of things... and trying to do whatever, and then oh my gosh, they kind of freeze, and that's a whole nother kind of when to say yes, when to say no, because you don't want to miss an opportunity. Yep. And so taking on a bunch of stuff feels good too, but then you got more responsibility than you have time allowed it, and then time just keeps going no matter how you handle your responsibilities. So then you freeze, and that's actually, because you kind of mentioned that in that book. And the other thing is that other responsibilities sometimes gets your creative goals you to procrastinate, and not quite I'm not doing it but all those responsibilities take precedent, and that's where I'm at right now. I was supposed to finish a short story by the end of this month. Got it even written on my calendar. Got it, and all that stuff. But school has started, junior high football started, being a dad, doing all these things. And I started it in the summer. I went to the Blue Moon, started writing, and now that opportunity just isn't there. I can't go to the Blue Moon and write right now. And so my goal, and that's a part of the procrastination also, is that then you kind of start to feel bad about your creativity because you didn't do what you expected of yourself. And so then it's and you can get in a kind of more negative cycle of just not doing the things that give you the most joy.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's tough. And it's not procrastination. It's just, again, responsibilities. And I'm taking those very, stuff like that. And this short story that I wanted done, I still got a week, actually, technically. So maybe I get it done.
You're giving yourself the allotted time to do it.
And maybe that's where a little bit hint of that truth is. All of a sudden, if I keep, because I think I do a good job of keeping to my own expectations and getting it done and off the calendar.
Yeah, and I think so. This is a house. If you didn't know, bought a house that has a pool, and the responsibilities of all that stuff just seem to, one, come out of nowhere every day, but two, trying to balance the work-life thing when it's like, oh, I need to mow the lawn today, but I also need to do this senior today. Like the non-creative responsibilities that we all have that do take precedent. I mean, mowing the lawn doesn't necessarily take precedent, but it has to get done at some point. Yeah. And so stuff like that just tends to draw you away. And then, when I get done mowing the lawn, I don't feel as creative or like as motivated to go back to the editing board. And that can stunt your creativity in a lot of ways. I do think there is, when we've talked about flow state and things, sometimes just sitting on a project or procrastinating on it, so to speak, can help you get an idea. Maybe if you're stuck on that project or something, if you just put it away for a little bit and wait for something to come, sometimes that can help. But for the most part, like you always talk about, if you're struggling to write, just put the pen to the paper until words start coming out. If you just keep messing around with whatever, an animation or a poem or whatever, and you just start doing it, eventually, if you have like a high standard, you'll start just making something that you'll be okay with. Whereas procrastination, you're not doing any of that. And then it just becomes easier with every day to stack those bad days on top of each other, those non-productive days, and then all of a sudden your deadline's here, and you haven't even really tried to be creative or get out of maybe a creative rut or something like that.
And I think time is a big connection to procrastination in the sense that any creative, there is honestly, to a degree, when you're ready, like you want to create or you got to sit down to do a job, you know that it's going to take time. And you want that time, and you love the energy and the flow state, especially, but like with the short story, for example, I'm like, I got 10 minutes before I got to do this, or I've got to grade some pay, and it's like, you go, 10 minutes is not enough. Where actually, I could probably write
2 bites at the elephant.
Like I could actually probably get a paragraph, because I've got we got the ideas in our head. For me, record every bad idea, whatever. It's there. I could actually use that time really, really well. And it reminded me just now of a quote I heard somewhere that, and your quote though counters a little bit. If you really want to be successful, you need to be in control of your time. And
I agree with that.
You just have to, and there is a lot of stories of successful people. They got their morning routine and whatever it is of prayer, meditation, exercise, and that habit or aspect of it. But I think that fear, or not fear, the time connection to procrastination of like, well, I only have 10 minutes. I know I can't complete my short story in 10 minutes, so I don't do it. When I actually could take, I've got the story. Already got it down. I could just, but it gives you a good excuse of,
yeah.
Just like you had said, 10 minutes of television, then I'll start to work.
And then 4 episodes later on Jerry Jones documentary, you're like, well, where'd the day go? I think a helpful tip, or at least something that helps me, and that's part of like running your own business, is the accountability factor. Like, these clients need their project at some point. And whether you're running a business or not running a business, just a little bit of accountability can really go a long way into avoiding that procrastination. Whether it's even every Wednesday I'll meet up with a friend for an hour at a coffee shop specifically to write or work or do whatever. That's accountability in a sense. Or it's social pressure, the pressure of getting things done. Because you'll go there and you'll do the work. You're not going to sit there and just, mess around or whatever. Having clients is that accountability. Just having someone even like check in with you, hey, did you get this done today or whatever? Even like just a friendly
even this podcast. The only reason, honestly, if it wasn't accountable both ways, it probably could have just faded already.
Right.
I mean, we are way above 95% of people who put on a podcast.
Yep.
Simply because it's just, it's like, hey, we got this, or got opportunities, matched. So that's the part I don't have with the short story. And if you're creative to where your creativity, what your project is the side thing, meaning, my teaching job and coaching and all that, maybe your accounting, whatever, and you're trying to break into your creativity, you're trying to do that, it's hard to find that accountability because all that other stuff does take precedent. And I'm okay with it because I'm trying to be a dad. I'm trying, and stuff like that. But it still hurts because I'm just like, gosh, I let myself down. And we've talked about community before and stuff. And I've mentioned like I don't have a strong community here. To help with that. I do online, but yet, it's just, but I still got a week. I'll get that short story.
Yeah. And so just having that more friendlier kind of pressure, I think, can help you be more productive throughout the process of whatever your creative endeavor is. Like I said, the time allotted for me to get like NSA hype videos done is about 12 hours to get like 6 done. Well, so that I'm going to get those done, and if I had more time, it would probably take me that amount of time. Like if I had like 24 hours, I'd probably spend not the whole 24, but like it would take me 24 hours to hit complete.
Yeah.
Where if you give me 12, I got them all done in 12. And so I don't know, it's a weird, I agree with the quote and disagree with the quote because I know people that procrastinate and don't get stuff done.
Yeah, that's the hard part. They're talking about successful people.
And so, if you're going to be a master procrastinator, you probably should have some discipline on the back end. So a disciplined procrastination cycle. But like even something like the 5 critical things that I do, that's a tiny bit of accountability for me because every day if I write it down and it's tangible, I'll look at it and be like, oh, I've only crossed off 2 things today. That'll help me. Hey, I need to get this senior done because I'll write that down. Okay, let's knock that out. And so there's simple small stuff, even writing down, having a 30-day calendar on the wall, writing down, get poem submitted or whatever on the 30th.
Yeah,
that'll help you, I think. Or if you're struggling with procrastination, I think that helps.
And 5 things I picked up from you that was very helpful. I sit down on my desk every morning, and it's not always 5, but it's always like, okay, I need to do this and I need to do that. Little post-it note, I got it right there, and then it's like, yep, and it kind of reinforces that good feeling when you do get things done instead of the bad feeling of going, oh, I should have got that, and then you're stressed, and then the next day, it just kind of builds another kind of habit to help deal with that.
Yep. Some of my things that I write down are really small, like email the AD.
Yeah.
But that's something that needs to be done. Yep. And so that I'm like, I usually put 2 to 3 projects finished if I'm close, or just work on the Grand Island documentary or whatever. 2 to 3 kind of big things, and then 2 just small things that I'll just be like, oh, cool. Boom, boom. You cross those off, you get that little like dopamine hit, and then you move on. That helps progress you through the day and move on to the bigger things. Yeah. Don't procrastinate, people. Or do if you can manage. I mean,
I think it is. We were talking just. I think it is the number one thing that though keeps people from meeting their goals and their aspirations and really breaking through the way they want to. Because we all do procrastinate. We all procrastinate. It's just how you handle it, how you are, what habits, what tricks, things that you can do to, like having a community of people who will keep you accountable. Because it's always when somebody else, we sometimes step up better for other people than we do for ourselves,
which is the opposite of what we should do. Yeah. But it's kind of the same thing. Like your family gets to see some of your worst behavior, and they should get your best, but then you put on a face in public.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was our season 9, episode 8 of The Creative Moment. Hope you guys have enjoyed. This season especially has been a lot of moving pieces. We've had some, I think, 3 guests this season.
Did we do 3
or maybe
guests?
The tail end of season 8 into season 9.
We definitely had 2. And Rascals was cool going to a studio.
Yeah.
That was...
So, we've had a fun season so far. We've talked about a lot of stuff. So if you're new to the podcast or haven't or have a topic that you think would be fun to talk about, check out our other episodes and see if we've talked about it already, because it might be in there. But as always, thank you guys for watching and supporting. We're everywhere you can find podcasts, plus a video version on YouTube. So with that, we'll see you in a couple weeks.